Hello, it is I, Dr. K here, to give you your second lecture. This lecture is basically to help you read food labels so you can understand basically what you're putting in your body. And I know a lot of people think they already know how to read food labels, and you probably do. I just wanted to add to that information. So I'm not in the business of wasting anyone's time. So let's get started. Let's get it started. Let's get it started here. All right, let's start from the beginning. This is basically my second time doing this. Keefer, come on, move for a second. Yeah, I have to give my dog the hand because understand that I'm recording. Anyways, this is Dr. K's Wannabe Vegan Challenge, Lecture 2. The Wannabe Vegan Affirmation. I will be careful of the words that I speak and the food that I eat. My words have meaning and are powerful. I understand that my food is information. My message shall be held. I am a masterpiece, and therefore I will treat myself as such by nurturing my body with the very best that I have to offer. I will do the same for my community. I will not dwell on my past transgressions, but focus on my future progression. I am a child of God, a creation of Mother Nature. I embody love, health, wholeness, and kindness. All right. On the left here, this is what our food labels used to look like. You'll still see some that look like this. Back in the day, they used to tell us calories from fat. So we have three macronutrients: protein, carbs, fat. And so because we thought that we were getting fat from fat, that's why they used to tell you, that's why they were telling you how many calories you got from fat. But we know that that is fake news, as Trump liked to say, fake news, or whoever started it. So now we're just going to start telling you calories. And always look at the serving size, because sometimes we get caught up in eating that was just rounding off and say 1,600 worth of calories, but we're thinking we're only eating 230. The fat is important too. Total fat, okay, but how much are you getting from saturated fats and trans fat? So coconut oil actually has some saturated fat in it, but it's actually good for you. Well, there's still, they say the cat's still out the bag, but it has been shown, there have been numerous studies that have shown benefit in coconut oil. We know that saturated fat from animal products is bad. It leads to high cholesterol, heart disease. Animal products themselves, or the saturated fat, may lead to something called lipotoxicity. Look it up, lipotoxicity, which also leads to diabetes. The trans fat, I think, is really, really a big one. There are two types. Well, there's saturated fats can break down into, I believe, cis and trans. Trans fat is the very bad one. So you want to keep this to a minimum. If something is 5%, that's low. If it's greater than 20%, that's high. You want to usually have 0 grams of trans fat. You want to have low saturated fat, okay? Cholesterol is important too. Cholesterol is something else that can lead to heart disease. However, we're learning that 50% of people who have a heart attack have normal cholesterol. That goes back to the inflammation is actually what's causing chronic disease and also causing heart disease, heart attacks, but that's neither here nor there. Sodium. You want a really good ratio of potassium to sodium. In man-made products, you're not going to usually find a high potassium to sodium ratio. I think avocados are a good example. I'm sorry, this is protein, Lord. It's late. Potassium here. Animal fats, avocado is a good nature-made food that actually has a high potassium to sodium ratio. Sweet potatoes, really good. Bananas, really good. But meat, man-made product, really not good. Remember that we want to keep this less than 10%. You want to limit your sodium, your total sodium intake to less than 2,400 milligrams per day. Very low sodium intake is less than 1,500 milligrams per day. I really don't like strictly limiting sodium, but if you have some kind of fluid retention or Cushing syndromes or problems like that, you may actually have to have the very low sodium diet. But less than 2,300 milligrams is actually what the ADA recommends. Your total carbs, your total carbs. All right, carbs. When God made carb perfect because he mixed it with fiber. Man does not do that. But your total carbohydrates, you see this here is 13%. I think they keep you on a diet of 300 300 grams of carbs per day. Anything with the dietary fiber of 4 grams is really good. If we want to do really, really well, we want to do 6 grams. You want to have a good ratio. I really don't have a number for you right now because I really didn't find any research. But from this, because we're trying to get to 40 grams of fiber per day, 6 grams of fiber to 12 grams of sugar, we're going to right now, that's going to be our goal. And then they're now adding in added sugars. And we're going to talk about the different types of added sugars. You want this as little as possible because these added sugars are the things that shoot our sugar up. These are the things that cause chronic disease. And you really want your added sugars, if any, to come from a natural source. In the bottom, you have your minerals. You want plenty of these. Luckily, God makes his food with plenty of vitamins and minerals, not so much for men. Okay, let's move on. Shall we move? Ingredients. The first ingredient is usually what is the most abundant, all the way down to the least abundant. If you can't speak it or say it, or if it's something that you would not naturally cook with, then you want to kind of limit those. So I don't even, xanthan gum, like someone really smart in this group is going to be like, xanthan gum is great. I've never put xanthan gum in anything that I've cooked. Polysorbate 60, so you got a number beside it, don't know what that means. Anyway, so when you're looking for ingredients, we know that most of this is vegetable oil, and the vegetable oil, the most of this dressing is vegetable oil, and the two components of the vegetable oil is soybean canola. We are looking for things like olive oil, safflower seed oil. Some people say sunbeam oil is good, avocado oil, grapeseed oil. I really want to stay away from these two, and yeah, even soybean right now, because it's so much GMO soybean, and you don't know really basically where you're getting this soybean from. So just remember it. The first ingredient is what makes up most of your product, all the way to the least amount of your product. All right, so these are the types of added sugar: white table sugar, high fructose corn syrup. Dun, 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 dun. I think that this is a great evil. It really puts a heavy load on your liver to get rid of it. It has been linked to gout. It has been linked to worsening blood pressure. It has been linked to fatty liver disease. High fructose corn syrup is not your friend. Agave syrup, we used to think it's healthy, and it's like you pay the right people, you get the promotion. We now know that it also has a lot of fructose, so we're not a fan of agave anymore. Brown rice syrup, I haven't heard any good or bad press. Maple syrup is supposed to come from the maple tree, but once again, the darker the syrup, the better for you. It's like the darker it is, like the blackberries, the black beans, the maple syrup. I think it's A, grade A, B, C. I think the lighter oils are A, and so those are the ones that we sprinkle are C. So that's something I can look up and tell you later. Something also that's really good is honey, made from bees. Honey is all natural. It actually has some health benefits. People who are asthmatics do well with honey. Fruit juices. So if your things are sweetened with natural fruit juices, I'm okay with it. I try to limit from concentrate, but I'd rather have these, the ones that's highlighted, than these. Additives, MSG, monosodium glutamate. So monosodium glutamate is something that we find in a lot of Chinese food. It's been linked to worsening migraines. It's been linked to worsening pressures, but we honestly don't know because most of the studies were done in animal studies. Now, this is my beautiful daughter. I love her to pieces. Nitrites from, so some plants have nitrates and maybe even nitrites in them, but typically the ones that are found in hot dogs and sandwich meat, because they also are mixed with certain types of amino acid, they produce nitrosamines, and those are carcinogenic. So if I say something is carcinogenic, that means it's cancer producing. So you want to stay away from the hot dogs and sandwich meats. So the processed nitrites, not the nitrates and nitrites that come from plants, because those are actually good. We talked about how horrible high fructose corn syrup is, dyes. We still don't have enough research about it, but some dyes have also been linked to ADHD. It's not natural. You don't know enough to recommend it. But right now, it's looking like it's going to be a bad ingredient. Hydrogenated oils, very inflammatory, are linked to cardiovascular and heart disease. If you see these ingredients, I want you to run. It's not for you. And I think that is the conclusion of my presentation on labels. If you have any questions, if something I need to, maybe get with you about, just comment below and I'll answer your question. Thank you for your time, and that is it.